This is the BBC.
This podcast is supported by advertising outside the UK.
Everyone likes shopping online, but searching for coupon codes is kinda a bummer. So make saving online a breeze with Capital One Shopping. Capital One Shopping is a free tool that instantly searches for available coupon codes and automatically applies them at checkout. Just download Capital One Shopping to your computer and let it do the work for you. So easy, and you don't even need a Capital One card to use it. Capital One Shopping. It's kinda genius. What's in your wallet? Savings and available coupons vary.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcast.
Radio 1's Screen Time.
Hello and welcome to a very, very, very special interview special of the Radio 1 Screen Time podcast. My name is Ali Plum and I'm lucky enough to call myself Radio 1's film critic, in-house nerd and, well, interviewer guy, my words. If you're new to the podcast, hello and welcome. Take a seat, by all means stand, carry on doing whatever it is you're doing. Just thank you for joining me, for joining us. Old friends, you know how this works. On Fridays, I do a regular movies and TV podcast, and as a bonus once a week, mostly on Sundays, but this time around on a Thursday for iPlayer scheduling reasons, I also have an extra interview episode, and like I say, this is a very, very special one of those. You're about to hear a conversation I had with the one and only Daniel Craig about his time playing James Bond. 15 years of his life, from Casino Royale in 2006 to No Time to Die, his final outing as the super slick super spy. That makes him the longest serving Bond ever, with his closest competitor, the late great Sir Roger Moore, clocking in at a mere 12 years as 007. Craig's been in 5 films, of course, over 15 years: Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, and now No Time to Die, out in cinemas here in the UK on September the 30th and in theatres over in the US on October the 8th. With all of its delays, pandemic-related or otherwise, it has been a long, long time coming, and I, for one, cannot wait to see this film. I am, as you'll know if you've heard my Casino Royale Ali Plum's Film Club podcast special from earlier on this year, a big fan. A curious fact about No Time to Die's delay, by the way, this is a film that's managed an extraordinary achievement, winning a Grammy for Best Song Written for Visual Media for Billie Eilish's No Time to Die, without the film actually having come out yet. I'm not sure that will ever be repeated. But anyway, I've spoken to Daniel a few times over the years, and I've always found him charming and funny and so pleasingly passionate about his work. But this interview, I feel, was him on his best form ever, and I don't say that lightly. It took place, if you'll allow me even more preamble, way back when the world was young in late November 2019 in New York, would you believe it? Some sort of blizzard was flurrying away outside. You could say it was snowing, but that sounds less dramatic, and the conversation took place in this warehouse cum studio in Brooklyn, if memory serves. So I walk in, out of the cold, Radio 1 cue cards in hand, my lips are red and my beard is all over the shop. I pull off my puffer jacket and my beanie hat, did I mention it was chilly, and I sat down in front of Daniel and just talked. I'm not saying my job is ever hard, but this was a breeze, a delight. You'll hear us talking about him getting the role in the first place, how he celebrated bagging the part, who the unsung heroes of these films are, and what his advice is for the next Bond, and much, much, much more. I've spoken to the likes of Tarantino, Scorsese, Cameron, clang, 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 but there's something really special about this interview, I think in no small part because of the pandemic delay, and because, well, it's finally here. In short, we're very proud of this one. A big thank you to my editors Del and Ant for their work on this, not forgetting both Zara and Rodri. But before we press play, a reminder that if you're in the UK, you can watch this interview on BBC iPlayer in full, and if you're not in the UK, there's a highlights version available on Radio 1's YouTube channel, and if you're so keen to see Daniel's face as well as hear him, I highly recommend it. And a quick note on one visual thing as well, actually now I think of it. At one point I show Daniel a very short clip from Quantum of Solace on my phone. What he's seeing is an extra sweeping in the background of one shot, but his brush is noticeably, distinctly above the ground, presumably for sound reasons. You don't always notice it, but when you do, it is eye-catching. And I should also add, at times, Daniel does use some adult language, so if that sort of strong stuff might offend you, maybe step away from the podcast. But anyway, enough waffling. Like, subscribe, share, spread the word about Radio 1 Screen Time, all that good stuff. But more importantly, enjoy Daniel Craig on Becoming Bond.
His name is Safin.
And what does he want?
Revenge. Me.
When her secret finds its way out, it'll be the death of you.
You can imagine why I've come back to play.
Right, here's the big question.
Oh, you start off with the big question.
Always.
All right.
You're James Bond. How the heck did that happen?
God, that's a long story.
Isn't it?
I got a phone call, which I thought, my agent got a phone call and said, Barbara wants to see you. And I was kind of a bit like, come on, really? It was very unclear what it was about. And I thought, well, maybe there's a part, or maybe there's something in one of the next movies, and how nice is that? And I went to see Barbara and Michael at Eon in Piccadilly, and they said, we want you to be the next James Bond.
What was your face in reaction to that?
I was like, come on, what are you talking about? There's a lot of people sort of say, oh, they think about... I mean, look, when I was a kid, of course I dreamt of being James Bond, but I dreamt of being Spider-Man and Superman and Batman and everybody else. And, I mean, it was like that was... So, but as an actor, I'd just not had that. I just thought, that's not happening. It's just not happening. And I was really very happy with that. Quite honestly, I was working a lot. I was doing a lot of really interesting jobs, and I was my career was going great guns. So I wasn't kind of like that wasn't an ambition of mine.
14 years later.
I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
Your fifth film. I mean,
I know. Yeah.
It's worked out well, may I say?
It's okay. It's it's been phenomenal. I mean, that's a kind of. I mean, and I know that's probably an overused word, but it has been phenomenal.
How did you go about telling your friends and family? Because I'm imagining you want to just walk in and go, oh, by the way, I'm James Bond.
Well, the funny story. I mean, that was all part, because that was quite a long process, because I did say no, basically, which was, I said, that don't be silly, and you haven't got a script. How could I possibly do this movie? You haven't got a script. Of course, they showed me a script, and I had to do it because it was brilliant. But so they kind of, my friends and family kind of found out over quite a long period of time. And actually, I used them as a sounding board, because it was a big decision. So I asked, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And they all, the university went, you're stupid, you're going to do it. And I was like, really? But the best one was, I was in Baltimore shooting a movie, and I had to come and do a screen test for the studio and then fly back and finish the movie. And I was in Whole Foods, getting some weekly shopping like one does. And the phone went, and I picked it up, and Barbara said, over to you, kiddo. And I was like, okay. She said, yeah, that's it. It's happening. And I was like, okay. Put the phone down. And I went, and I did this thing with the trolley. I sort of pushed it into a corner with all my shopping, and then walked into the off-license section of Whole Foods and bought a bottle of vodka and a bottle of vermouth and a cocktail shaker and a cocktail glass.
What else?
Put it on the desk like that and went home and started mixing myself these things. And it's kind of rather sad, because there was no one there. And I couldn't tell anybody, because it was still secret. And by the time I'd had about 3, I thought, I kind of better go out and have a drink now, because I'd started this. I went to a bar where I had 3 more, and I must have had a smile on my face, because the barman said to me, what are you so happy about? And I went, I can't tell you. It's just something great's happened. He went, well, this one's on me.
Great. I'm that smug guy at the bar.
I'm the very smug guy at the bar, yeah.
I want to ask you a tricky question. I hope you like it.
As you can see, I don't shut up. So
no, please don't.
Oh, no.
I don't want you to.
All right.
What would you say have been your highlights over the past, let's say, 4 films, because we haven't seen the 5th yet? I've got a few suggestions.
Go ahead. Give me some suggestions.
So here are some suggestions. Yeah. There's the simple kind of casual cheers from the crowd moments, like checking the cufflinks on the train.
Yes.
Right? Personally, that bit in Spectre where you land so elegantly on the sofa.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's an absolute delight. Silver's seduction.
Oh, yeah. Well, Javier. I mean, I watched that scene the other day. We were looking at some clips the other day. I'd just forgotten how outrageous it was. It's just so out there. And as Barbara will tell you, I mean, the studio wanted us to cut that line.
No.
And we were like, no, we can't. And the way Javier played it was just. I mean, those are the highlights, genuinely, and I'm not trying to just push this question away, are working with people like that. I mean, Javier and Judy and Rafe. The list just goes on, and these people just came and turned up and gave these amazing performances.
Yeah.
Just,
I was going to ask you, you work with so many amazing people, as you've just mentioned. Who are the unsung heroes of the Bond franchise that don't get enough of a shout-out?
Well, we've just finished a movie now that has been at least 2 years. It's been 2 years in sort of work on it now. It's been at least 3 or 4 years in the making. So there's a lot goes into it before you even start shooting. But we work on, we have these sets, and we do build these amazing sets. There are a few movies that build sets like we do, and of course we go on location. And just a shout out to the people the construction people and the designers who are constructing these incredible sets they should take months to build these things, and sometimes they're built in weeks or days.
Here's Cuba.
And exactly. And the sad thing is we then pull them down after 3 days, which is just heartbreaking. But they worked so hard, often 7 days a week, and sometimes 24 hours a day. I know that sounds crazy, but they were sleeping on the job, and it was mind blowing what they were doing for us, and there were hundreds of people clearly, but they deserve a shout.
I thought you were going to mention this guy, who I'm a big fan of, and I'm sure you know him well. I remember him from Quantum of Solace. This guy in the background.
He's pretty great, isn't he?
Like, look at the way he's sweeping.
Yeah. I think he's actually one of the producers.
Is that right?
Yeah. We gave him a job.
Now you've said it.
Yeah.
I can see it.
You can. I mean, it's
if there's an Oscar for extras, it should be to this guy.
It is. It's pretty special. Is that actually in the movie?
Genuinely in the film.
Oh, you see, that's the great thing about movies, though, isn't it? Because the things like that stay in.
Of course.
Yeah.
Quite right. I mean, I would say lowlights. I'm imagining writing.
I've got no lowlights. What are you talking about?
On the fly, writing elements of the script for Quantum of Solace.
Yes.
Has to be a moment in your life going, oh, I've just aged 10 years.
It was tough. There was all sorts. I mean, there was not only a writer's strike, there was potentially an actor's strike.
Wow.
I mean, it was literally, we were up against it. And if we hadn't have made the movie then, we could have been delayed a year, 2 years, whatever. So we had to pull the trigger on it. It's not a position I'm particularly fit because I write a bit, but I'm not, I don't have the chops, and I wouldn't want to be in that position. I mean, I like to know what I'm going to say, and I love it. I would like it even better when someone brilliant's written it for me. So.
It does help, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What you do incredibly well is run through walls.
It's a knack.
I remember you doing that and watching the film Casino Royale for the first time. You got a group of British people to basically stand up and cheer.
No.
Yes.
Really?
It was in a cinema in Leamington Spa, and the power of Bond is kind of almost unquantifiable.
I think that was Gary Powell, who was our stunt coordinator. I think it was his idea. I mean, we had Sebastian, who was this amazing athlete who did the parkour, and he went through it. Remember, he went through the top of the door. There was a gap about that big, and he shot through. And I can't remember. I think Gary came up with it. Well, the two of us came up with it. Said, "Well, I've just got to go through the wall." So, in this typical way, which is it's a wall, and basically he got a sort of Stanley knife and made scores in it. And I said, "Well, he went, yeah, that'll give." I was like, "What?" It's like I could just go. All I could see was myself running against it and just bouncing off it, and then going, "No, that's not working." Anyway, it worked. It worked a treat. I think I kicked it first.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'll bear that in mind next time I do it.
Yeah, don't. I don't suggest anybody does that.
Not advised. I've got another expensive question.
Yeah.
What is it about the James Bond character that has made him so successful, so popular, so enduring 50 years in?
God, I don't know. I mean, there are many, many, many things. I think one of the things really is the Broccoli's have maintained they've kept it sort of event cinema in a way that I think there are. Look, when it first came out, there was nothing like it. Now there are how many action movies made a year, action adventure movies made a year. But it still has a special place because there's all these wonderful things attached to it. There's the song, there's the pre-title sequence, there's the title sequence, there's who's the villain going to be? There's all these questions that need to be answered before the movie comes out, and that, I think that just gets a buzz around the film that is is difficult to recreate with other movies.
There's a rarity factor that really makes it very special, and again, as a Brit, there's an element to me of pride. I think there's a sense of this is the coolest man on the planet. Again, no pressure, but coolest man on the planet.
And they cast me.
And they
I know, I can say that.
You can say that. There is an element, though, of just like, it just feels good to watch somebody be that unbelievably cool.
Well, you know, I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud to be British, and I'm very proud to have that kind of, and there's something about it that is there's a stiff upper lip to him, but there's also a kind of, there's a style, and there's all about, the thing about the tailoring and the cars and things, which are all feel particularly British to me, which I think is fun to play with, and I really get a kick out of doing all that.
Your Bond, not just on screen, but it is a role that kind of lives with you in real life when you're, buying stuff in a supermarket.
Yeah.
And you must have
I
experienced...
leap over three things and forward roll to the... Can't help myself. It's like that.
I've got my loyalty card. Go! I'd like to ask you about the most memorable fan interactions you've had, because I'm imagining there must be a few moments when people have seen you in day-to-day life and they kind of freak out a bit.
One of the best ones was I went to an Oasis concert at the Roundhouse a few years ago now, and we were up in a balcony, kind of in a sort of private sector, very nice. We're given these nice tickets, and the crowd. It was the end of the concert, and we were standing up, and the house lights up, and the crowd suddenly turned up and saw me, and then started shouting, "Who are you? Who are you? Who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, well, that's kind of." And I kind of waved like that, and Noel just said to me, "That means they like you."
There's a great moment in the trailer for No Time to Die where the guy at the security desk is like, name. And that sort of stuff really delights me.
Good.
The dry Bond wit is excellent. And no disrespect to the late, great Sir Roger Moore, but that was never your bag.
No, I've always sort of wanted to have it. We have glimpses of it, and I'm a huge fan of Roger. I'm a huge fan of Pierce's, and, I've never wanted to emulate or copy what they did. I wanted to define it by what I did. But one of the reasons I did Casino Royale, one of the big reasons that script, when I got to the line is, I want a vodka martini, shaken not stirred, do I look like, and it was written in the script, do I look like a give a fuck? And I'm in, because if that's the kind of where you're going with this, that's the direction I want to take it.
Also that Bond name check where you get the Bond James Bond after you've clipped someone in the leg and they're crawling on the ground and you're just looking. Suave as all hell, and you drop the... It's a peach.
Oh, good.
You must be so... Anyway, we can't labour all the best points here, can we?
Okay.
We'll be here all day. I ask a lot of people these questions, so I want to wrap up with a few of these, hopefully quicker ones, but what Bond mementos have made it back home?
It's weird. I don't have many, but I keep the clothes only because they get worn in so nicely. It's like that within the space of the shoot, it's looked like I've owned them for 10 years, and that's what those are the kind of clothes I like.
Excellent. You don't feel like, I've kind of mucked them up a bit, but...
Yeah. No, they're better that they're like that,
exactly.
And there's a couple of watches that I've been given which are very nice. So.
And I'm sure there's an element where you can't really wear a tux outside of...
Not to the supermarket, no.
You're not going to remember this, and it's weird to bring it up, but as it's come up a few times, I was actually queuing in a supermarket behind you once.
No.
And
Where?
It was... I'm going to reveal it. It was in...
I did all this interview has been a lot about supermarkets.
A lot. Entirely unintentionally, I promise you. It was in St John's Wood Tesco.
Oh my God, okay.
Right?
Yes.
And you were getting some milk.
Yeah.
And
it could have happened.
Could have happened.
Yes.
That's what you had in your hand anyway.
Right.
You could have just been about to leap the, whatever, and do all that stuff. But there was a part of me that feeling as a fan and somebody who
was I James Bond at that point? No, was this before James Bond?
This was during James Bond. You were James Bond.
Oh, okay.
And as somebody in the industry, I didn't want you to notice me clocking you. So I, of course, had to go to the back of the supermarket and just wait there for 5 minutes.
No, that's so sweet. That's very, very nice of you.
Well, but
it's sort of kind of weird. You stared at me a bit and then left. It's like, what is going on?
Another one. We got another one.
Right.
What do fans typically say to you when they do, like, either see you at premieres or just bump into you? What do they typically say?
Oh, you're not that short. Honestly, most people are really, really nice. It's kind of, it's not no big deal. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about. You're probably going to miss this role, aren't you? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, desperately. Yeah, desperately. Of course, it's been a huge part of my life.
How do you feel about putting a bow on it with this film?
I'm glad. Well, I'm really happy that we've done this film. I feel like we left some unfinished business, Inspector, and if it had been that, and it would have been fine, and I would have been okay with that, but because it was, I'm very proud of Spectre, but I just felt like there was a story that we've had that's been a through line of all the movies, and this story that we're telling here, which is very complex and very emotional, but also very exciting as well, is a sort of button, and so I'm really very happy that we got the chance to do it, or I got the chance to do it.
Thank you, by the way, for giving us the miniguns coming out the headlight stuff. You've tended to shy away from the gadgety side.
Not this time.
Not this time. In the trailer alone, I'm just going, you've been teasing us. And now you give us the donut in an Italian square minigun.
Yes.
Just...
I've always said it. I'm a huge fan of all of those moments. I just didn't want to put them in because I wanted to try and reinvent it as much as possible, and this film felt like we could do that, so we've thrown the kitchen sink at it.
What adjectives would you use to describe your particular take on Bond?
What does adjective mean? What's an adjective?
That's got 3 syllables in it, I don't like it. Stoic, icy, cool.
There you go, that's perfect.
You know what, I've got to say this interview's going very well, because that last question you just gave was a peach, I've got to say. Okay, let's do another quicker one.
Yeah.
What sort of direction do you get playing Bond? What's a typical note you might get?
Close your mouth. It's hard, it's difficult because I'm you probably can tell I'm a bit kind of giggly and I kind of like to have a laugh. I hope you can tell that.
Yep.
And I kind of like to do that on set, and there's a moment to do that, and I would laugh all the way through it if I could. And I think that kind of sometimes I've got to get serious, get a bit more serious.
You don't get more Bond, less Bond.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the best note you can get, really. More Bond, less Bond.
More Bond, less Bond.
Yeah.
Okay, what sort of perks does playing Bond give you? And I've got some examples from my perspective. Mm-hmm. One of which is being a cameo stormtrooper on Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Well, I suppose that's the perk. It opens a few doors, because I don't think I could have done that if I hadn't have been James Bond. There are lovely, lovely things like that, and having the chutzpah to do that is because I'm James Bond. I wouldn't have done that any other way. But basically there's the second AD on Star Wars, who was our second AD, a lovely guy called Ben Dixon, and I said, Ben, come on, get me, I can be a stormtrooper. He went and asked JJ was like, get him in. He gave me a scene. He didn't give me, I just thought I was just going to stand at the back holding a gun, but he actually gave me a scene. Yeah, I would have been happy with that, but he actually gave me a scene. Yeah.
And then afterwards, people went, you did know that was Daniel Craig? And I went...
Yeah. Well, I did this thing which was kind of, which made everybody, apparently made people angry, because they asked me, and I'd be like, what do I want to be in a Star Wars movie for? Because I was like very happy just to play around with the fact that, just to keep it under wraps, because everybody's going, oh, that's the rumour, and it's like, that's news to me. Mm-hmm. And it did, and it actually kept it out, and so then suddenly it became something. So you can't always do that. But it was just nice to play around with that, so that it was a nice surprise.
The other wonderful surprise...
I'm still waiting for my check, by the way.
Residuals, guys.
I mean... Unbelievable.
Let's sort it out. JJ.
Yeah.
The other amazing surprise for me was watching the Olympics opening ceremony, having this grand swelling of pride, and there's Brunel and all the rest is going on. And then I can't even believe I'm going to say these words out loud, for all intents and purposes, jumped out of a helicopter with a queen.
Yep.
So that's sending...
She was up for that. I didn't do that. She did it. I didn't do it.
So it was
my stunt double, but she did it. She did the stunt.
It was her idea, and you went along with it.
Yeah.
Got it.
It kind of was. Yeah.
And I love that sequence where you are just walking through Buckingham Palace, the corgis going through your feet. Things that worked brilliant. They kind of just came with me. I mean, I like dogs, and they're very friendly, and they wanted to come and have a run. So it was great. I mean, that must have been one of many pinch yourself moments you've had.
I still can't quite believe I saw that again. I saw that as a clip the other day and thought. I looked at it, and the great thing is Her Majesty was like, she kind of improvised a bit and was pretending to write and did this whole kind of little scene within a scene. She was really game. She was very...
I loved how she keeps you waiting.
Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
It was so good. The other bit I really enjoy about that is the double take you give to Winston Churchill. Now, we haven't seen a double take in your Bonds.
Yeah.
And I know that is a part of the Bond canon.
I suppose it is.
A cheeky double take.
A cheeky double
But
take.
you giving us one there was just a...
I know. I mean, I'm very wary of double takes. They have to be used sparingly.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
I would like to ask...
That was a triple take.
It was a bit much, I agree. I'd like to ask you about what advice you're going to give the next JB.
Don't be shit.
It's great advice.
Yeah.
But particularly in terms of the legacy that you're going to leave for this.
I hope, I just wanted to make sure I'd left it in as good a place as I found it. That's all I kind of cared about. And I think that anybody who takes it on will feel the same way, because it's like it matters, and it's a huge part of cinema history, and it's a huge part of British cinema history, which is sort of like a massive thing. And I just, the importance of it, not for the fans, for everybody and for everybody involved, is to make the best movies we can. And I think that's what I've certainly tried to do, and I know that all the people I've worked with have tried to do so.
And there's an element, of course, keeping Bond fresh with the times. You refuse to give into the formula. You refuse to just give them the same again. Was that a big part of every time you approached a new project going, no, we've got to think bigger, harder?
All the time. And what's the point? I mean, it's like, what's the point of being there if you're not going to? I mean, these movies are rare. In a movie sense, these are the rarest movies you can make. I mean, there are big movies going on. There's the Marvel movies and there's other things that are going on. But very, very few people get to work on these movies. And I'm incredibly fortunate that I've had the chance to do it. So my instinct is, let's do it the best we can. And otherwise, as I say, go big or go home.
Daniel, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to just say this. Thank you. You've been brilliant.
Oh, man. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you.
Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, and you.
So there you go. I told you he was on great form, giggly, as he put it, and just having a good time. I did too, as you may have noticed. I was nervous beyond belief, as you might imagine, but I stayed the course, I reckon, and we got through it in the end. I'm just so grateful to everyone who's helped make this happen. As a Bond fan, as a film fan, this was a real treat, and so there you go. I'm very grateful. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Be good to yourself, stay safe, and be loved. You're an excellent person with fantastic taste in podcasting, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Yo, this is Youngblood. Now, have you heard my podcast? Well, it's where you get your stories heard. No fairy tales here, no soap operas, just real talk with me and one of you lot. Sound familiar?
Having that conversation just meant the absolute world to me.
Whether it's challenges our generation are facing every day,
people out there will listen to you,
or those big moments that might shake your world.
Okay, I've come out and I feel pretty good about this.
This is a space to uplift your voice and get everything off your chest.
The Youngblood Podcast.
Listen on BBC Sounds.